Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I think we're there. This is Rico Wayne,
Enrico Mike.
Rico Mike. And what are you going to do for us today, Mike?
I am going to try to animate based on some thumbnails that were pre-made.
Let me see. Can everyone hear us? Start streaming. Can anyone hear us? Okay, I'm going to turn off the coming soon. And I'm just waiting, Rico, to see if we get anybody there. It's not letting me. Huh. Oh, man. How amateurish. Oh, no. I think we're live right now.
There's a video.
There's a
There's an
video.
audio reaction there on the.
Yeah, that's all working.
It must be. Is there an elapsed time that shows a count or anything so that it's actually?
That's a good question.
Because I see 19. I don't know what that means.
Average view duration, 19 seconds. Oh.
It says excellent connection, so it must be working.
Okay. Well, let's just talk. How you been, Rico?
I've been well, very well, thank you.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm doing good.
Except for this, no.
Except for this. Trying to, if anybody's out there, well, you know what, Rico? All right. Let me say something.
All right. So yeah, just to repeat, what I'm gonna cover today is I'm going to translate some thumbnail
Oh,
sketches.
there we got someone.
Oh, good.
I misspelled hello.
I'm gonna translate some thumbnails.
Hello, Matthews. There we go. Okay, go ahead, Rico.
All right.
You got it.
I'm gonna translate some thumbnail sketches into full-blown animation, quote unquote, based on some thumbnails that I premeditatedly made, if that's even a word. So I'll need to use the stylus to set up the layers here.
Okay.
So,
You know how to do that?
Yeah, I just noticed whenever I was doing this, the mouse took away the cursor.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if it'll do. Oh, that's weird. It doesn't scroll.
That is weird.
You have to type. Oh, I got the wrong one anyway. It's the wrong layer. I thought that was the layer.
Oh, you want to turn this layer off, right?
I want to just dim it a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Something like that. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna label this real quick so I know what's.
Hello,
what.
some user.
Can you type in thumbs?
Type in thumbs? Where?
Yeah, just on the keyboard. I already highlighted it.
I don't know what you mean.
Just type in the word thumbs on the keyboard.
Oh,
because I already highlighted it.
Yes, yes.
There you go. That's it. Cool. Awesome. Perfect. And then type in animation. Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So, is it Matthias? Is that the name?
There's Matthias, there's Ismail, and some user.
Oh, okay.
We got 3 people up there.
Cool.
Can you guys hear us okay? Oh, of course they can. They said hello.
Oh.
But just want to make sure.
You guys are lucky because you got here early. You get the full brunt of the whole thing. All right. Let's see here. I am going to make this synchronized layers so that I can give myself some working room. Like so. And then I will I love this program. This program I'm using is called Rough Animator. Super simple to use, real easy. Oh man, it's just a delight.
They can hear us.
Good. Let's see. I need to probably use the keyboard. Let's see. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. There we go. Can you type in 1, please? Thank you. That's weird. It didn't work. I'll just do this. I'm trying to make this program. It's so simple. I don't know why it's giving me a hassle.
What's it doing?
It's not letting me minus the frame. I gotta go like this for 30 frames.
Oh.
To get it down to 1. There we go. Okay. All right. So these are the thumbnails here I've got on one layer. I'm gonna go over this.
Hello, Judy.
Hey, Judy. I'm gonna go this in a separate layer. So I'm gonna dim this down a little bit.
It's not letting you do it with the... There it did.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it so that I can...
There you go.
All right. So that first pose that I saw is got this box on it. And I want to establish that box on the background here. So I'm going to make another layer. Let's see. I'm going to add a layer over here. Modify layers. Add an empty layer. Okay. I'm going to call this BG. Thank you. And
You're welcome.
bring that out to here. There. And I'll bring it down a layer so that I've got, let's see. There we go. Now I can see all the layers. Just setting it up here. Okay, there's the BG. I want to draw the BG in now, so I'll use a paintbrush. Looks like that's all set. All right. Okay, let's see here. This is the full screen. Oh, it doesn't do...
No, it's...
Okay, so it's just solid.
Okay, you're off camera.
Oh, I'm just moving over here so I can get a good bead on this background line. This version's a little different than mine. Here we go. Is that it? Yeah, I want to use the line to it. Okay. There we go. That's a little thin. Setting up my brush size here. That's pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to just make a little bit of a grid here so that I have some perspective that I'm working with. I'll roughen the box first. So one thing I can mention is that watching someone animate in real time is very slow. So I'm going to make this a real simple BG here. That's good. Get the lines. Myself a little grid so I have a ground plane to work on, which is always you want to tell that story about that short film that you made without a grid?
Yes. I made a short 1-minute film, and it was with this little character on just a what was that? Like a blue background. And actually, I'll show. And this was way back in the old days, you guys. And what it was you see that little character, his name was Skiff, and he was on a background pretty much like that, except it was blue instead of black. And I animated him, but I was just learning how to, and I didn't make a grid when I initially did it. And it was a lot of work because I could not find where his footing would be. And what he does, he has a ball and he uses it as a basketball, and he comes up in perspective. Anyway, it worked out. But you want to make a grid like Mike's doing here. You want to do that, and that way when you go to animate your characters, post, or straight ahead, you want to have that because you'll know exactly where the character is landing on solid ground. Otherwise, if you don't have it, it looks like the character is floating, and you don't want that. It takes the viewer out of the scene itself, because goes for one step here, and then let's say here's the ground plane, then the next step is up here. That's not going to look right. So always rough in, like Mike just did, your ground plane or the sky plane. You can do both just to make it simpler for you. That's the thing with animation a lot of times, you guys, is sometimes, especially when you're first learning, we're in a hurry to animate, and you want to take your time in the beginning, get everything set up correctly, because if you rush it too quick, like Mike's going to do a demonstration of thumbnails here, and a lot of times when I was working with students, they wouldn't do their thumbnails, they wouldn't know exactly where they were going to go. Now when you if you're working in the studio system, this background is already done for the animator. It's from the layout department. So all of that's basically done for you. But if you're making your own films, this is what you want to focus on. And then after that's done, you want to do what Mike is doing right now, which is, what are you doing right now?
Right now, I am using the thumbnails. I go to a layer here and I turn up the opacity so I can see what the thumbnails are, so I can see what my poses are that I've predetermined.
Why don't you explain what is going on?
Oh, okay. So I start out with just a little box. It says little hold note there. It's just holding on a box, and then all of a sudden the box explodes open and this little character jumps out.
Do me a favor, dude. Use to draw on it to show them.
Oh, okay. Let me put another layer on top of that then.
Okay.
So this is the thumbnail.
We know the cursor doesn't show up, so he's going to draw on top of it to show you what he's...
I'm going to draw in red so it'll really be obvious. Increase the brush size. There we go. Okay, so here's the box. It just starts with that. And then I have this box explode open. The lid comes out. This character comes flying out, jumping out. He's got a little pistol in his hand here. And he jumps up and over. And I've got this as the high point here, the highest point of the jump.
Okay.
And then I've got this one where he's kind of reaching down with his leg. And then he lands right here. And then he comes up and into this pose and he holds right there.
Okay.
And he's pointing his gun at some off-screen character. And then the thing is what he doesn't realize is this shadow comes in and grows up and over him like that on the ground and totally envelops him and covers him. And he realizes, oh my God, this is a giant character. And he goes from being all, aggressive in this stance, and he slowly gets up and goes, oh my gosh, and realizes he doesn't stand a chance. So he anticipates back with his hand here and throws the pistol at the character in a futile attempt to attack, I guess. And all with one move, going from this anticipation, throwing this and twirling around all in one movement, and then runs off screen in a panic.
Okay.
And that's the whole scene.
Okay.
So that's the
now.
bit.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So, did you do other thumbnails outside of these to figure this out?
No, this is it.
Okay. Sometimes you guys, you will do more thumbnails. This is Mike's approach, but don't feel like he's a veteran animator, but if you feel like you're not seeing it, you see it clearly now in your head, correct?
That's because I made it, yeah.
Right.
If somebody else looks at this, if I handed this to somebody else, they might go, I don't quite see what's going on because I don't see all the poses,
And that's the whole point of the thumbnails. They're for you. You're doing the thumbnails for yourself so you understand where you're going to go within your scene, if that makes sense.
It's a roadmap, yeah.
Yes. Instead of just jumping into the scene blindly and starting to animate without having any kind of recollection or any kind of vision of where you're going to go.
And I have to also add to that, I've found, for me personally, everybody's different, but for me personally, if I don't thumbnail and I just jump into a scene and start doing what's required of the scene, I find that it takes me longer to animate the scene because I'll have a lot of false starts. I'll start something and I'll start working it out, and then it doesn't work, and then I'll try it again, and I'll get to a certain point and realize, oh, this is not working either. So when I do thumbnails, though, I've got everything already figured out, so I know where I'm going, I know where I'm coming from. I already have done some thinking about it already in the thumbnail stage. So that saves a lot of time because I just can go right into it. It's all figured out.
Right.
And another plus about having thumbnails is, and you'll notice this when I go through the demo, is when I refer to these thumbnails, I'll look at those poses, but then I will use those as a springboard to push the action or push the poses even further, if need be, to make it stronger and read more clearly. Now sometimes, and I'm sure you've had this happen too, sometimes you'll do thumbnails and when you go to animate it, you can't capture the energy that's in the thumbnails because these thumbnails are really tiny. As you can see from that spiral bound notebook, these are pretty small.
Right.
They're pretty tiny on notebook paper. So the thing is if you can do little tiny sketches like this and try to communicate something to the audience, it comes across pretty clearly if you make it small and it's very clear. That means it's a strong pose because it can read even when it's tiny. If it doesn't read and it's kind of convoluted, that means it's not very clear.
And plus, you guys, you aren't putting a ton of time into these because you're making them small and you're just trying to emote what you're feeling and thinking.
Yeah, that's a great point because these were whipped out in a matter of minutes before I start the animation on this. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you're wasting time by thumbnailing. You should just jump into it and start going. And I get that. I understand. There are times when I've done that and it's been appropriate. But this really does save a lot of time because it's all thought out. It's a springboard, again, to push poses to make them even stronger. And like I was going to say, sometimes there's an energy in these thumbnails that you just can't capture when you try to redraw it. And in that case, I used to watch Glenn Keane do this on Little Mermaid. He would do thumbnails. Actually, I saw him do it on Oliver and Company. He had this scene where a bulldog, he fakes getting hit by a car, and he comes out in the street and he marks an X on the road, and then he lays there like he got hit by the car to fake it, to get some help or whatever. And I saw Glenn do all these thumbnail sketches, and then he would go to the Xerox machine and blow them up to the size that he wanted to do on the paper and cut them out and use those as his first generation roughs because he wanted to capture the energy that he put into those thumbnails.
Right.
Which is a great technique. It really works.
Yes, you can use that technique too.
Yeah. See, it's either or.
Everyone's got their own way of doing it. So basically, this is Mike showing you his way of doing it. We got another video up. It was my way of thumbnailing, but I don't always do my thumbnails the same way every time. What's the matter?
I can't scroll.
Let me see.
That's weird.
Oh, because you don't have anything over here to scroll on, dude.
Oh, but I have one. Let me see. I have one drawing right here.
No, you didn't draw that.
Yeah, I did. I did that one.
Yeah, but now you're on that level. You can do it.
Oh, I see.
You weren't on that level.
Okay.
It's okay. So,
All right. So I've got this. The reason why I started with this pose is because I want to know how high and how much forward I'm going to go away from this box when the character jumps out. I want to know where I'm going. But so I did that drawing first based on these thumbnails. Oops. Based on these thumbnails. These thumbnails right here, you can see where he jumps up. So now I'm going to do the drawing where he's coming out of the box. Before that, right here. And I've got the little onion skin on so I can see where I'm going here. And now I can go ahead and, if I want to, I can draw like a path. Oops, wrong color. I'll put that back. There we go.
Here we got a question.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, do you guys have a favorite animated movie? Shows yourself? Not sure what that means. Something that impresses you as animators. Oh.
You go first while I try to figure this out.
There's so many to choose from. Me personally, I like the classic stuff. Pretty much, let me see. Favorite, I would say I like Pinocchio, I like Bambi, I like Beauty and the Beast. I love the Warner Brothers shorts. But as far as movies, I would have to go with, because I like traditional animation. But, I loved Pixar stuff. That's, beautiful movies. But the hand-drawn stuff, I think, that's basically. But I've seen other stuff too. What was that? The Triplets of Bellevue?
Oh yeah, Triplets of Belleville.
I love that
Bellevue.
film.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And Klaus. Thought that was incredible. Sergio Pablo's film. Thought that was incredible. Oh, that answers this. Let me see. Another question. Interesting. This is from Bremation Station. Interesting. My way of thumbnailing is putting my script on the screen, then drawing little boxes next to the corresponding lines, and then drawing the characters within the little boxes. That is interesting. That is a good idea. I've never even thought about that.
Could you repeat that?
Okay. This is from Bremation Station. Interesting. My way of thumbnailing is putting my script, the script, onto the screen, so it's on your Cintiq, right?
Uh-huh.
And then drawing little boxes, little characters, next to the corresponding line, like character jumps out of box, and they'll draw a little thumbnail next to that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And then corresponding lines, and then drawing the characters within the little boxes, the little thumbnails. Did I explain that right, Bremation? And that's it. And then, okay. Some user says, I see. Okay, very good.
Okay, I'm expanding the range of the onion skin here so I can see what the arc is.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys can see my cursor moving or not.
No, they can't.
All right, that's cool. This is the
But they
landing
get it.
pose.
You get the idea of it.
This is the landing over here on the left side in the middle. So that's the squash. I'm going to lasso that. This is the one thing I love about digital is if I put it in the wrong place, I just move it up.
It makes it a lot handier.
Instead of trying to redraw everything. Okay, so lands over here.
If you want, while you're doing this, I could print out a copy of that, your thumbnails, and
Yeah,
paste
sure.
them. Okay.
Paste,
Alright,
them,
you guys.
paste them where?
I'll put them up there, but I need to print it first.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I actually have a notebook right here.
Oh.
Where is it? I had it a second ago. Oh, it's over on. Yeah, go ahead and burn it. It's going to take too long to get it out of the where it's held. And the thing about these poses that I have to mention is, even though I'm following the thumbnails basically, and I'm trying to capture what I've got, that doesn't mean I have to stick with these, you know. Let's see, I think I need to use the shift key over here. No, okay, I know what I need to do. I'm going to add a blank frame, bring it back, and then extend that. There we go. So I've got a blank here, then he jumps out. Boom. So that's coming out of the box, the highest point, and then landing. So now I can throw in that other drawing that goes from the highest point to the landing down here. And I'll just check the thumbnails again, and that looks like this on the far right in the upper right corner. That's the next one I'm going to do. So I'll go ahead and add that frame. Right there. Turn on that onion skin. See where I'm going, right there. Okay. So the character's coming up and over and lands right over here. Right like that. And I always try to draw in arcs if I can, because that helps to make the movement more smooth. I learned that lesson the hard way. On Cats Don't Dance, I was animating Danny, and an animator named Franz Vischer was in charge of Darla Dimple, and his work was so smooth and beautiful. And I asked him one day, I said, will you look at my pencil tests and tell me what I could do to make it improve it, to make it look more like your stuff? And he said, yeah, sure. So he took a look and he said, well, the first thing I could tell is you're not paying enough attention to your arcs. You really have to make sure that things are moving in a smooth path instead of being erratic as far as the positioning goes. And I said, oh, okay. And I already knew that, but sometimes you forget these things, you know? You got to be reminded. Oh, that's perfect, thank you. I'll just keep it right here.
Here, you put it. Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect right there. Yeah. Awesome. Now I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. I can just look at the printout. Okay, so there's the next pose. I want to lasso that, move it a little bit more over here. There we go. Okay. Redraw a little bit. All right. So it's going down this way. I want to have the body go from being behind him, start to tuck it forward, so he can kind of lead the way with his body and get his legs underneath him so he can land. And I want to stretch the body a little bit there, like this. And I want to bring this leg down towards that spot where it's going to land. And there's one thing I'm doing here that I want to point out, and that is that if you notice, here, I'll turn off the
Oh, let me have
yeah, sure.
1 second. Okay, you got control.
Okay. So I wanted to point out one thing about the legs here. You'll notice that when he comes out of the box, the character's right leg is down and the left leg is up. And then as he or she comes up here, they switch positions. Now the leg that's in the back that's behind is now in front. So it's kind of gaining speed while the other one's moving behind, this foreground one, which I'll make a little bit more clear by erasing these lines out of here like that. So you can see it. There we go. So I'm switching the legs there, and then I'm having the far leg lead the way down all of a sudden. Instead of keeping that left leg leading the way the whole time, I'm switching them. And what that does is it adds visual interest. It shows a flexibility to the character that they're moving their limbs. Instead of it being stiff, always the same leg forward.
Right.
It would be kind of dull, right?
Right.
So yeah, switch the leg, and then I'll let it lead, and then boom, land. So it gives a little visual interest. I just wanted to point that out in case that wasn't seen. Okay,
Good
so
point.
thank you. So the let's see what that arm is doing here. I just want to flip this real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna put that arm up like this, as in the thumbnails.
And this is dragged, you guys.
Yep, that arm is. I'm thinking it's back here where it attaches, but I'm just drawing where it's coming out from there. And let's see what the other arm is doing. And you'll notice that I don't just draw something there. I have to see what the sequence of movement is. It's like flipping. Scrolling in a program is just like flipping paper. That's the equivalent. So the arm is dragging behind here. It catches up to the body there, starts to raise up. Then as he comes down, it's probably going to drag again and then be in that position down there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the arm something like this. That feels right. There we go.
Very cool. We got a good question here.
Yeah.
Below Average Joe. Question, please. If you find a pose isn't exactly what you want in the sequence, do you try to strengthen it or throw it away and try for a better idea?
Ooh, that's a good question, because you could do either one. I tend to just get rid of it and put one in its place. That's just me.
I tend to strengthen it if it's going to work with the thumbnails. I try not to divert from the thumbnails. But it is a good question. I've done both.
Yeah, you have to do both to see what works best for you. That's the best answer, probably, right?
Yeah. But if I throw it away and come up with a completely different pose idea, that means I'm going to be going off my path, and that one pose could change the whole scene, and then it gets confusing. I do try to stay true to my thumbnails. So, and that's good that we both answered it differently, because there's no one way to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that makes sense. Below Average Joe. That was a good question. Okay, Rico, back on you.
All right. So now that after the character's landed, I'm going to have him hit the final pose, which is aiming that little pistol forward to some off-screen character. Now, if I start to draw... Here's an interesting phenomenon that happens when you're animating. I wanted to point this out. If I start...
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I put the camera so when you and I are talking to each other,
yeah,
it looks like we're turning our heads away from each other.
Oh my God.
Sorry, you guys. So understand, when we're not looking at each other, we're actually looking at each other.
So if I turn this way, I'm looking at you.
Classic Wayneism.
Which is, I have to go over here to get to him. So
yeah, there you go.
Okay, that's confusing.
Okay.
So here's something very interesting, and I'm pointing this out because I'm thinking about it as I go. So I'm trying to do this next pose where the character is, just to show you, right there where it says hold in the middle on the second to the left pose, where you got the pistol pointing forward. That's the one I'm going to do next. Now, if I just go ahead and just start drawing something up here and try to get the body, angle and go, uh-oh, wait a minute, he's too high. So instead of just starting with the head, which a lot of people do that, they start with the head for some reason, I don't know, in life drawing or whatever. What I want to do is I want to start with the part where it's not going to move, that's locked down. So I start with the feet. I draw the feet first.
I agree, I do too.
And then I go ahead and try to branch out from there and imagine what this next pose would look like. So, and of course I'm going to be flipping as I go. I'm going to go ahead and visualize that these legs are a little bit higher up, so the body's going to come a little bit up to come out of that landing, and I'm going to move the head just a little bit forward like this, based on this onion skin overlay thingy here. And now I'm going to flip it and check. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better.
Cool.
And this is rough. If the feet are not perfectly planted, you can see that they're shifting a little bit. It's no big deal. These are roughs. I don't really care about little details like that, because I can always go over it and draw another layer, because these are not the finished drawings by any means. This is just plotting it out, and It's a workhorse stage.
Yeah, and you're showing how you work from your thumbnails. Too.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna unfold the legs a little bit here and keep it nice and loose. Doesn't have to be perfectly. See, it just shows that it's. And if it does bug you, all you do is just take the lasso and move it up a little bit, which is better. I couldn't help it. Sorry. Sometimes we get a little OCD over here.
It's just, there's no one way of doing it. It's just you just do whatever is working for you.
Yeah. And now I notice that the head, instead of going forward, actually should be going to the upper right a little bit. So I'm going to delete that and redraw that by flipping to see where I want the head to really be. I want it to be more like this. Because I want the head to feel like it's looking down here and then looking up. So that's why I'm repositioning it just a little bit. In other words, it's pivoting. The head is pivoting at the back of the neck where the vertebrae is. So it's going to come up like that. See how that, it's like, it feels like it's raising up?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted to show there. Oops. There. Okay, so, and I'm trying to explain every step of the way so it's very clear. And now I'm going to draw those arms in there. If it was a police show, you'd say something like, freeze! Get those arms in there. Make sure one's in front of the other.
Ready for a question?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Hi there. Oh no, it says hi. There is a question. If a character is moving in a panorama scene and he changes speed as he moves, will the pan speed also, or slow down or speed up as the character?
One more time.
Okay, it's a pan move, and the character, let's say, it's sliding, or the character is like walking and starts running.
Yeah.
Question is, do you speed up the pan move to go with the character's movement?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the character is always the primary movement, and then the camera move has to follow it.
Yes.
So if I was to do the camera move first, it would be harder for me to make the animation adapt to the camera move.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense. I don't know,
Yes.
but that's just my personal, from my personal experience, that's what been the case whenever I...
So if the character is just walking along in a pan move, and then, they get startled and then start running really quickly, they'll even make the background where it's blurry.
Yep.
Because all that gets figured out beforehand in layout and with the directors and everything. So the answer is yes.
Cool. All right, now I'm going to hold this drawing here for a while.
Welcome.
Not quite sure how long yet, but now I'm going to add another layer to this, and I'm going to have that... I'm going to have that shadow crawl over it. So I need you to type in shadow, please. And hold on a second. Let me see. Make sure my layer. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this one needs to go underneath here. Oh. Not sure what that layer is. Okay, there's the shadow, there's the animation, there's the thumbs, and this must be be the background here. Let me see. Yeah, okay. I have to label that background BG. Cool. And then I'm going to get rid of this layer that's not supposed to be there. Must have been an accidental touch there. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to do the shadow. And what I've done is I've created a duplicate layer, but it has empty frames in it. So starting here, I want to start this shadow to creep in. Or actually, I'm going to draw it in there on this separate layer. Okay, I'm going to move a little bit so I can get a good angle on drawing this. Let's say that once it's done, it would be something like this. Once the shadow has fully entered the scene, it would be this huge, like, whoa.
Rico, moving.
I didn't know that was possible. This big, huge shadow that comes up and covers the character unexpectedly. Too big. There we go. Try and block this in here. Something like that would be good. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to close this off so that I can color it in. So I'm just going to draw little closure lines here so I can fill this in with the paint bucket. There we go. And I will erase. Let's see. I want to bring the opacity down a little bit so it's like a shadow. There we go. And I want to erase a part that it may not show up on. Let's see. That's good there. Clean it up just a little bit.
You take a question?
Oh, like I was going to say, watching someone animate is like watching paint dry. It can get really boring and dull.
I don't think he heard me. Can you take a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said something else. Yeah, I can take a question. Sure, of course.
Do you think, I guess it's about, do you think from Bremation Station, do you think it's better to thumbnail than full-on storyboards? I personally think so, since it's a bit faster and serves a similar purpose. You want to answer that first? You're giving a lecture.
Sorry, I was concentrating on what I'm doing.
I would say, I'll answer it. I think it's important. If you're doing your own film, I believe that you should do both. Like, the storyboards, you don't put in nearly as many drawings as you would with thumbnailing the scene. Storyboard artist is sort of like, comic book strip. You get the whole big idea of it. But then the thumbnails, it's a little bit more thoughtful as far as the nuances within an individual animator's scene. So that's my thought of it. But they are sort of similar. It really matters also how much time you have. I mean, we both have been given scenes where there's just no time to even think about thumbnails. They needed it yesterday. So, but that comes more with experience. If you're just learning, making your own film, I would say board it, keep it real simple and clear, and then if there are numerous scenes within it, each scene do thumbnails where you just know where you're going to go within that animated scene. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, to add on to that, I would do boards, and like you said, they're more like a comic book thing. They show the general story of what's going on. That's why they call them storyboards. They're not really in any detail as far as movement goes. Normally,
right.
Nowadays, some people put in all the rough poses in the boards.
It's true.
But
yeah.
And then I would go from the boards, and I would go ahead and do the thumbnails based on the boards. It's just a nice stepping stone to work from.
Yeah.
Very organized. Okay, so you can see the shadow comes in after he stops. I'm going to put just maybe a couple more drawings of that shadow coming in. Let's see here. Put this on so I can see where I'm going. I'll do a little bit of a slowing into that.
I tell you what's good about this, because when you were first showing the thumbnails, I wasn't quite understanding exactly where you were going.
Oh, okay.
But that's the whole point of the thumbnails. Mike knew where he was going with his thumbnails. And that's what the animator doesn't, I don't think. They don't show. I've never shown my thumbnails to directors.
I have sometimes, yeah.
Have you?
Actually, it saves time because if you show them your well, it depends on the supervisor or the director.
That's true.
If they have the ability to visualize like you do, then I would show them the thumbnails and they'll look at it and go, yeah, that's exactly what should happen.
You know what? Mike's right. That I did used to, like Franz Fischer, I used to show him my thumbnails just to make sure I was going in the right direction. And he's such a top-notch animator that he understood the thumbnails immediately. Or sometimes I'd even shoot him. I forgot about that. That's right.
Oh, okay.
And what was my point?
Oh, sometimes you'll show the thumbnails if the person can decipher them.
Yes, but it's sort of... that my point was, so now that Mike is doing this, now I'm seeing exactly what he meant when the shadow's coming in.
Yeah, right, exactly, because the thumbnail just showed, like, here, I'll show you real quick. It just showed it already in there.
Already in there.
In the center drawing, you can see the shadow over the characters.
Exactly, and the thing about that is Mike knew in his head where he was going to go, so he didn't animate a bunch of poses of the shadow coming in.
Right.
And he had done the thumbnails for himself, and he understood which direction it was coming in and all that stuff. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, and other times if you have a supervisor or director who can't visualize the thumbnails, then you just have to pose it out and then show them after that, and then they can say, okay, yeah, that's working.
Right.
But sometimes, you get somebody, everybody's different. Some people can visualize it, some can't. There's nothing wrong, it's just different. All right, so this is coming in here, covering them up.
And some people, now I've said this before in past videos, we've talked about this. Eric Goldberg, master animator, supposedly he doesn't thumbnail, but he's very rare. And then some people will do these rough thumbnails like this, and then some people, Duncan Marjoriebanks?
Hendel Butoy used to do full-size thumbnails, exactly the same size he was going to animate.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they're beautiful. And he had them all perfectly drawn, like worked out. It was already done in his mind, and he had those drawings finished.
You see, and there's one way to do it. This is I would say, the average way.
Yeah.
This is how it normally... And then there was Duncan Marjoriebanks. Didn't he do the crab?
Yeah, he did Sebastian, the Little Mermaid.
Yes, and I saw his thumbnails. They were small, but they were so clean and beautiful.
Gorgeous.
That looked like he could have just blown them up and been done with the scene.
Yeah.
But that was just his way of doing it. And he, if you look at that film, that crab is great.
That's a good point to mention that because, again, everybody has a different level of comfort. Like for him, he felt more comfortable to just put more drawing into those thumbnails.
Right.
So they were finished drawings pretty much, and they were gorgeous. So it's already been visualized and worked out in a small scale, and that's it. You just go ahead and recreate it in a larger scale.
It was his way of feeling comfortable with it.
That's why we definitely made sure to say that this is just one approach, to having thumbnails just scribbled out really quick and then go from there. And you can see how it does help to progress with this stuff. So I'm going to delay this shadow until after that point. So right there in that frame is where I want these shadows to come in. So that means I am going to delete a couple of frames here. And then I'm going to shift this over.
Let me see. I gotta go.
Nice
You have a nice weekend too, Matthews. Thank you for joining us.
Oops. Write that down. Pass it down. I want to. Let's see. Okay.
Rico and I went swimming yesterday.
Yeah, we're very sore. jumps out, freeze, and then the shadow comes in.
Cool.
It's a little bit too long, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit. Probably right about there. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to get rid of these little artifacts that are left over here. Little stray. Okay, now I can see what's going on. Let's see. I'm checking the perspective here where this shadow is coming down, so I can make sure that it's covering him up at the right spot. So he should be in shadow here. There we go. All right, now let's see how it looks. Boom, jumps out of the box, lands, gets ready, and then all of a sudden this ominous shadow comes in and freaks him out, and that's where now I'm going to stop working on the shadow and I'm going to start going back into this character animation. So I'm going to switch layers here, and I'm going to add a frame to this. Oops, too long, so I'll just bring it down to one frame. Can they see these numbers too on the interface?
What, the frame numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can see the whole interface of the program.
No, not the tools, because we had to put the chat box.
Oh, okay, but they can see the other stuff in the upper
They can
left.
see, yes. You see right there?
Oh, yeah, okay, I
It's
see
that.
that. It cuts off there.
Yeah, it cuts off there.
Okay, cool. I just want to see what you guys are seeing. All right.
They can see your timeline.
Okay. Now, because from this point here, he's going to change his position, I am going to create a split right on that frame. And I believe there's a feature here where you can add a split.
We'll do a video on how to use
on the timeline.
Rough Animator sometime.
Let's see. There it is. Add split halfway. Oh, at current frame. Boom. So it made another shadow here. So I can take this shadow. Whoops. I can take this shadow without moving the interface and copy that and paste it again here on this next drawing. And now I'm going to erase this part of the shadow because I'm going to recreate the shadow has to match whatever pose I have the character on. So I'm going to just leave this off for now. And when I flip it, you'll see how it, like the shadow's there and then it's gone. So now I can change positions with him. All right, him or her. It's a gender, whatever you call it, neutral character.
Gender neutral character.
I'm still trying to get used to that. Sorry, old school here. Okay, so now let's just double check the thumbnails. Okay, we can see here that the next part is where the character stands up and is like, oh no.
Hello, Brandon. Brandon says hello.
Oh, hey, how's it going? From far away. Boy, it looks like we have a lot of people on there, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, we got some.
No, I'm nervous now. Okay. I want to go back.
Oh, wow. Everyone just left.
Oh, man.
Now you can relax.
I did it. I scared them all away. There we go. I'm going to get this point size back on this brush. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to do this next pose where he's standing up. And again, I have to start from the feet because if I just go willy-nilly here and let's see. Yeah, if I just go willy-nilly and draw some pose like this, I might go, oh no, he's too far back. His feet are going to be way back here, so I have to start at the feet.
Do me a favor. Go back forward with that, and then flip it back and forth, and let.
Oh, when it's wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so here he is crouched down. I want him to stand up, and I'll show you the not fault. What do you want to call it? Like
a mistake.
Kind of like a mistake.
Yeah.
It's not desirable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I want to have him stand up, so I'm going to go. Okay, I want
He
him
put
to
the
stand
placement of the drawing in the wrong.
Yeah, I want him to
the
stand
wrong
up.
placement.
And so I go, okay, cool. He stands up here. And he's dropped his gun like, oh no.
And it's because he's not flipping it, so he's not feeling it.
Yeah, I'm
He's
just doing the next drawing.
Yeah.
Now when I flip it, it's like, uh-oh, he's not in the same spot.
Right.
But if I flip this, I would be able to visually see where those feet are. In fact, I'm going to show you guys.
Great example of why you want to flip it.
Yeah. I'm going to show you without an onion skin.
Okay.
How I'm going to draw. I'm going to make that character so that it's in the correct spot for the next pose without using the onion skin. I'm looking where the feet are, and then I'm going to draw them in. And if I flip it, it's right in the same spot.
Oh, hold on, dude. I think I got this set up. Let me see something.
That's okay. It's easy for me to scroll.
Oh, okay.
It's faster.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
So check this out. Look, boom. His feet are in the same spot. Didn't even need to put the onion skin on.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
No, I need to flip it back and forth,
You freak. Look at that. Rock solid.
It is rock solid.
Now I know where his feet are, so I can draw out from those feet, which have to be locked in the same spot because I want them to be. Now I can go, okay, I can visualize his legs straightening out here like this. Oops. I'm looking at my thumbnails and I have something different. Instead of him being bent-legged, it's actually straight like this. So I'm glad I started that with the locked feet because, boom, he straightens out. But it's his body that goes up. And again, I'm branching out from these feet down here, up and over like, oh no, he's looking up. And I don't even have to put an axis on this to show that he's looking up. You can see he's looking up just by the body language.
Right.
You don't even need to have those crosshairs in there if it's going to read clearly. So he lowers the weapon like, uh-oh. I'm even having the barrel droop a little bit like, like, oh no. And I think I'm going to put this arm something like that, like, oh man. And just kind of connect the dots here as far as that goes. Just tighten this up a little bit so it's a little clearer. And flip. Always flipping to compare the poses to see if that's the right relationship that I want. Now, to me, those two arms are twinning. They're pretty close to the same kind of a pose, so I want to alter that. I don't want them to be repetitive or, mirror each other so much. I want to have it even more offset, so I'm going to do this where I have him just kind of, put his arm down like that. And this is the part that doesn't have as much to do with the thumbnails as it does with the full size. Now it feels like this angle of the arm is repeating the same angle of the body, so I don't want that either. So I have to change it again. And this is part of the process. You add a little bit, you take a little bit away, you add a little bit, you take a little bit away. You're always adjusting. Is that right?
Yeah.
Constantly.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to have the arm do this. A little more straight.
And there you broke up that shape.
Yeah. I'm going to fix these legs. They're bothering me a little bit. There we go. Okay, that seems a little bit better to me.
Oh, sorry.
Now I'm noticing that the head doesn't feel right either. So I'm going to adjust that a little bit because it doesn't feel like it could be looking up even more. And I'm basing this off the thumbnails that I see. The thumbnails, from what I can see, he's really looking up. So I'm going to bring his head even further back.
Oh, that makes sense.
More
See,
like
there,
that.
that's a good example of making the pose stronger with the earlier question. Same pose, just stronger.
Yeah, I'm just pushing things around, trying to get the strongest communication. Just trying to make it feel decent.
Excuse me. I'm gonna go off camera. Oh, I'm not off. Now I'm in front of yours.
Okay, there we go. That's better. The one thing you have to give yourself when you're animating at all, whether it's CG or stop motion or 2D, doesn't matter what it is, hand drawn, you have to give yourself the freedom to change it. Don't feel that the first thing you throw down is locked in concrete. Or, you can't change it or alter it or manipulate it. Or you can sit there and work on it as long as you want until it feels pretty close to what you want.
It's an art form.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bremenmation Station. Do you guys have opinions on Japanese animation? Yeah, some of it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Anything by Miyazaki is just phenomenal. And then now there's so much cool stuff out there. I mean, I can't even name it all. There's so much.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, there's a new pose. So on this new shadow that I have here, I'm going to go ahead and add this new shadow drawing.
Brandon wrote performance anxiety from before when you thought all the people that he's playing.
Don't make me nervous.
Don't worry, Rico. You're doing great.
Okay, so now there's the shadow that
I
corresponds.
mean, man,
with
he's
the
animating a scene with shadows, effects.
Now he's freaking out like, oh. And now here's a cool thing. I know for a fact that in my mind, I don't want him to pop into this pose. This is all fast action here. And when he hits that pose, I want him to stand up slowly, like he's like, oh no. And let's see, I want to keep this drawing on here longer. Okay. Now, so I'm not going to sit here and do all the in-betweens because it'll take forever. But I'm going to add a lot of drawings between here and here. Now, there's so many different ways to have him straighten up. I could have him lower his arms first and then stand up.
Those are the breakdowns, you guys.
Yeah.
Those are the breakdowns. How he goes from that one pose into the other ones. Like Mike said.
And
there's so many different ways.
That's the point where if I have that already in mind, the way I want him to come up, I could have thrown that in the thumbnails easily.
Right.
I could throw as many breakdowns in there as I want. I could have the arms going, overlapping, separate speeds and all this stuff. But I'm just leaving that for myself to do now. So I don't spend too much time on thumbnails.
So, and what you're doing right now is just blocking out your scene from the thumbnails. That's
Right.
what this is about.
I'm trying to hit every pose that I have in the thumbnails first. And then I can go from there. Okay, now that I've got him standing up like this, like, oh no. Now the next pose is, just to show you guys, is the bottom left. See where he's anticipating to throw the pistol, because that's all he can think of to do in a panic like this. He's overwhelmed by this giant that's coming in. So he's like, I'll just throw the gun and run,
Mm-hmm.
like that's going to help. Throwing a little tiny pistol at this gigantic character. So that's going to be the next pose. And I'm going to go ahead and add a frame here on the character layer. Are there any questions at all?
Nope.
Okay. So now I'm going to have him do the anticipation. First I want to duplicate that shadow drawing as well. Oh, hold on.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, when do you at times, will you put in the breakdown thumbnails?
That is an excellent question. I'll only do that if it strikes me at the moment. Like if it's
It
real
looks like we're not talking to each other.
I'm only gonna. How's this, folks? I'm looking away from him right now. I'm only gonna put those breakdown thumbnails in there at the thumbnail stage if it strikes me at the moment, and I've got I can visualize it in my mind if it hits me. If it doesn't come to me, I'll leave it alone. I won't even put it in. But if I go, oh, I got this cool idea of how he's gonna get up, maybe he's gonna do something, blah 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 blah, and I'll figure it all out, and then I'll throw it into the thumbnails. But if I don't, I'll just keep going.
Good answer.
But if it's a cool bit of business that I want to put in there, yeah,
Right.
definitely. I hope that answers the question. Okay, so now I've got that guy there, and now he's going to go from this pose to that pose, and now he's going to anticipate the throw. Again, I have to flip, or I can use the onion skin, or I can see where he is. I'm going to turn off the shadow because that's kind of distracting for the, there we go, for the next pose. I just want to see where the guy is right now, the guy, girl, either one. Either or. Okay, so I'm looking at thumbnails and I notice that this foot is, whoa, brush size. This foot right here is planted in the thumbnails. In other words, that foot doesn't really move. It stays there, but this foot, he takes a step back so that he can anticipate to throw this thing. So I'm going to start off with this foot right here. And I don't think I want it to be facing the same way. I actually want to pivot it. Okay, here's the foot, right? I'm going to draw this a little bit larger so you guys can see this. Here's the foot now. If I want to have him anticipate back and I keep the foot the same, it's going to feel like this ankle's kind of broken right here. Like, ah. So what I want to do is, if the foot's planted on the ground here, like that, actually it's angled like this. If I want to have him anticipate back, I'm going to want to bring, since the whole body's moving back, that means the angle of this leg is going to change to like that, because it's going to lean back, right? So then, instead of having the ankle in the same, or the foot in the same spot, it's going to feel like it's broken. So I'm actually going to pivot on the heel and move it like that so that it pivots around that way. Is that clear?
Yes.
So that it's following the perspective of the ground like this.
Yes.
Okay. I'm getting crazy now with the undos. I'm just going to delete it. Okay. That's one thing about the programs, is you can go pretty deep. Okay. So here he is, and he's going to freak out, and he's going to go back. So I'm going to just kind of rough this, again, based on the thumbnails. That foot's planted. I'm not going to draw the foot yet, just where the heel is, because that's not moving. But the foot is going to pivot in perspective like that. He's going to come back like this. And I'm going to lean him back over like this. If I lean him too far, he's going to feel like he's going to fall over, so that's a little too far. I'm going to put this foot back here. I'm trying to think about the planes here. You'll notice the perspective. I want to feel like he's on the ground here. So when I rough it out, I want to kind of think about perspective a little bit as I build out from the ground up. And the thumbnail shows this happening. And his head's way back like this. And his arm goes out like that to lead the way, and the other one comes way back, and he's got the pistol over here, which is something like that. That's what I see in the thumbnail. So once I rough that out, I can look at it and go, does that work for me? Let's see. Let's turn off the onion skin. It's like, it's all right. It's not as strong as it could be. So let's see how I can improve that. Let's one thing I can do is, another thing I like about this is you can change the center point of the pivot. Oops. When you grab this, you can move the pivot point somewhere, and then when you rotate it, I don't see a rotation icon here.
It should be upper right.
That's a scale.
Wow.
I don't know where the rotational
Let me
is.
there
it
see.
is.
There it is.
Aha. It's
You got to
here.
be right above it. Right.
Reposition that center point again. Okay, so I have to be up here. There we go. Now I just want to bring it up a little bit more like this. That's more true to the thumbnail that I see. And I'll just hook that up like this.
And do know, everyone, that he is looking at his thumbnails as he's doing this.
Yep, that's these babies right here. Bottom left pose is what I'm doing next.
Yeah.
That anticipation back. So you can see that that's close. Oops. Get in there. I want to put that arm out a little bit more.
Tell me if you ever want a question.
I'm ready.
Okay, some user. I don't really know how to ask this, but say you've got a character traveling in perspective. He's following the arcs in perspective, but it looks like he doesn't from the viewer's point of view. How do you bounce and or know which one to prioritize? I think the question is because in perspective, you have to. Sorry about that, you guys. Here. Let's look at each other. I can't do it. We're actually looking at each other right now.
Yeah.
In perspective, when things are coming at you,
right.
You can't see the arcs as much because there's so much foreshortening.
Right, foreshortening.
Yeah, there's so much foreshortening. So,
are we answering this correctly? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
is the foreshortening of the arcs?
Are we talking about foreshortening?
We want to make
some
sure
user.
Want to let us know if we're on the right track with
following
answering.
arcs, and it looks like he doesn't from the viewer's point of view. How do you bounce? Yeah, he said yes. Okay, so what you do with perspective, you're right. A lot of times the arcs won't be as dramatic as, let's say, a side view.
Or obvious.
Or obvious, yes, that's a better word for it. And then what you do is it's the change of shapes with that particular part of the figure, be it the hands, feet, head, and so on. You do want to stay in arc, but it also matters how exaggerated the actual. If it's someone running up towards the camera, you can have one where the arcs are more subtle. You can, if it was Goofy because he's long-limbed, it would be you would have more exaggerated arcs. But it's more of changing the size of the shapes with the arcs. If they're subtle arcs, that will be convincing for the viewer to to understand the arcs and the bounce of the character. Even if you're doing a walk cycle, let's say it's a front run walk cycle, you're still going to have those different elements change size. The hands, if you're coming forward like I am there, we can see how big that hand is. And then when it's way back here, how small it is. And the arc, let me see, I'm trying to get in there. The arc would be there. See, it's a subtle arc. It isn't something like a side view where you got an arc. Man, having a hard time. Big arc like that. It's the same arc, but it's subtle because you're going here, there. It's more of that change of size. And
so you're talking about something like this where the arc is more foreshortened like that.
Yes.
And that's how you keep track of
exactly
perspective.
So, and back. Then if that was a side view, draw them a side view.
Oh, side view of this would be like that.
Right.
Slow in, slow out, slow in.
There you go. Very good. Very
That's
good.
Profile. Yeah.
I hope that answers it. Good demo, dude.
Thank you. All right, so that's a better pose. It's like a little Pillsbury Doughboy kind of a character. Now, I'm just dying to put a breakdown between these two. I just have to, because that's such a big jump for me as far as attitude goes, and attitude change. I have got to put in at least one or two breakdowns in here, just because.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for it. Even though this is about following your thumbnails, I be patient.
But he is, again, he's staying true to his thumbnails. Now he's just putting in breakdowns, how he's going from that one pose to the next pose. which is really the point of this is the thumbnails. But I think this is a good demo he's going to give you here because he'll explain like he's posed out, he's blocked out with his thumbnails the scene in this approach, but he has decided at this point to put in some breakdowns because
as an animator I just can't resist.
right. It's just he's caught up in the moment.
Yeah,
right
I gotta see how he gets to this pose. I just gotta see it.
Right.
So it's okay.
Yeah, it all works.
Okay, so I got that shadow. Now I want to add a drawing.
You are welcome, some user.
Alright, now let's see. I believe I want to synchronize these frames or layers if I do this.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't even know what you did there.
Yeah, I'm going to try it. Let's see what happens. Boom. Okay, I see what happened. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Oops, mistake. It's been a while since I used the program, so bear with me here. Okay, I'm going to take it off sync and do independent. I'm going to add a frame in between there and in between here for the shadow and the character to allow for that. And I want to bring this back down to 1 so that I can flip it easier. If it's on 7s, I can't. This way I can flip between the two like that. Okay, now I can work on that and get rid of the shadow for now. Okay, back to the character. So I want to go from there to there. I want to turn on the onion skin because it's going to make it so much easier.
I wish this was working, dude. You could flip it.
Oh, that's cool.
It was working. I don't know why it's not now.
You know what? I use the keyboards, which is
you
really
wanna,
fast.
Do you want to use? Well, that's the same thing.
Let me see. Hold on a second. Let me try it. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh,
I
go
just
ahead.
use these.
That's fine.
That's really easy. Okay.
But this is the same thing when I had it programmed. But
I'm just used to this movement. That's
okay.
all.
All right.
Okay, so now here I don't really have to do the foot first because the foot's pivoting, and I know pretty much where it's going to be because I'm flipping. I mean, I'm not going to go wild where I put his head now, but I do want to make a bit of an arc movement from there to there. So I'm going to go like this and draw my arc. You can see that, how it hooks up to the drawing. Something like that. So that means I'm going to draw him right about there. You'll notice it's not exactly halfway between the two. It's favoring this one. Favoring this one. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh, sorry. Favoring that one. There's a blank frame here I'm going to get rid of. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's favoring this one because I'm slowing into that. Even though I'm throwing in a breakdown, I'm also thinking of that as well at this point. So I'm just letting you know what my thinking is as I'm doing this. There we go. Now I know that the body's going to turn around. Instead of facing this way, he's going to be facing this direction now, back there. So his tummy is away from us. This is his back, his spine there. Those are just surface lines. Okay, so I'm just going to loosely rough in the shapes of how much I wanted it to go up and then come down. That's probably too much. So I'm going to bring this down just a little bit right there. That's better. Now I'm going to go ahead and start getting these feet figured out. Any other questions?
No, not right now. Are you thirsty? Should I get some water for
I
us?
got water right here. But if you want to get something,
Can you hold the ship down?
share.
I'll be right back. Be right back, is it?
Now we can talk about waiting on while he's gone. Okay, I'm stretching the leg up, the whole body's stretching up and over, and he's going down to that pose. This might be a little too far, but I'll figure that out as I get closer to the final pose here. Let's see. All right. Next thing another way I'm thinking about this that I can explain my thought process is when I go from this pose to that one, I'm also trying to attack first the parts of the body that are easy for me to visualize. Because if I have a hard time visualizing a certain leg position, like that rear leg, like how it's going to actually step back there, it's going to be really hard for me to visualize where that is just by itself and starting with the leg with nothing else to refer to. So I start with the head because I want the head to arc up and out. I know that's easy, so I start with that circle. Then I add the body to it, and then I add that leg that attaches to the ground. And now, for me, the easiest part next is not to do that other leg and not to do the arm with the pistol, but to do the arm that's in the foreground right now. So this one right here, right there. That's the easiest thing for me to visualize because it's in the front for one thing. It's not hidden by the body. And it's also being pulled by the shoulder, which is going up and then down to here. So I know that the shoulder is locked in there and it's locked in here. So I know that it's going to transition. Like if I was going to draw this one here, that's the body with the arm attachment there. And then this one has the arm attachment there. You'll notice that this one is on this side of the body, and this one, that was quick, is on that side of the body on the left. This is on the right, and it's on the left. So I have to do a transition. I'm just explaining my thought process as I do this. I was explaining that the parts that I draw first are the parts that are easiest for me to visualize. So that it's, if I try the leg first, I'm going to get in the back, I'm going to be like, I can't visualize that without seeing the other stuff.
Right.
So the next one for me is not the leg and not the pistol hand, but this foreground arm. That's the easiest thing for me to visualize. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. And keep flipping, of course, to see the relationship between them. I hope this is helping you guys. Is it?
It seems to.
Okay, cool. That's the one thing about being not in the same room with someone is you don't know if they're like digging it or if it's boring or what. Okay, now that
don't worry about it.
Now that I've got that arm, now it's easier for me to visualize the other arm because they're opposites of each other on the torso and the upper part of the body. I know where if this shoulder is there, then I know that the other shoulder is going to be in the back. So I can bring this arm up and over and back like that. So I know it's got to be somewhere in there. And I'm going to try to make it read outside of the body as far as the silhouette of the body goes. So I want to get it up and over the head up here somewhere. Oops, got the wrong tool selection. I want to put it up here somewhere. I don't want it to be hidden behind the head because you can't see it, right? So I'm going to think, okay, I'm letting the head lead the way. So instead of having the arm travel at the same speed as the head, which would put it back there, I'm going to delay this arm. So I'm going to drag it more like that. And of course that is it's emanating from the wrong spot. It makes it feel like the shoulder's up there, and I want it to feel like it's coming from here. So I'm going to kind of just do that.
Draw through.
Yeah, draw through it so you can feel that. Again, I'm going to draw this torso. Here's the shoulder over here. And then the other shoulder, if I was to draw through here in perspective, would be back there. So there's where that arm attaches, and there's where that arm attaches. Just to make it as clear as possible.
Sorry, Dan, I'm trying to...
That's cool. And this is too much of a drag, so I'm going to lessen the drag and bring it up a little bit more, emanating from that spot. And I'm going to erase this other one. Then I can erase this now that I've got it pretty much blocked in. There we go. So it's dragging, It's not traveling at the same speed as the head, but I'm going to bring that down just a little bit for a better design. And now I really want to make that step more clear. So I'm going to raise this foot up in the back. Imagine that it's connected over here. Raise that foot up. And let that foot drag so that it gets, boom, planted right there. So I'm not pointing the toe, and I'm not having it flat like that on the leg. I'm letting this drag a little bit like that, boom, before it plants on the ground like this. Boom. You can see that arm is really being dragged over here compared to the rest of the body. So you can see why I just had to throw that breakdown in there.
I totally see why.
Because I wanted to play around with the overlapping stuff, you know,
right.
make all this stuff be a little different. Now, this is, I think, personal taste, but the fact that if I was to color this in, and I'll do this larger here, if I was to color in this pose for silhouette value, to check the silhouette value, it would look something like this. Right, and this arm right here, oops, this arm right here, it doesn't really show up in the silhouette at all. So if I want to have that show up, I would do something like this. So you can see both arms. See what I'm saying?
But yeah, but you don't always have to show.
No, you don't.
Sure.
It's okay if stuff, as long as it could be within the silhouette of the body.
Yes,
just as long as you draw it in, of course.
Yeah, if you draw it in, and that was something that Dale taught me. Was I always thought everything had to show,
be out and away from the body,
out and away, and he had brought up to me, he goes, no, that's not what it means exactly. Because one, you got the colors that will show the shapes moving within another, one shape moving within another bigger shape.
Color separation.
Yes, color separation. So you got that going, and plus your eye, as the characters, as the different shapes are moving, your eye is just automatically, naturally following those shapes. So you don't have to have in every drawing a complete extension of every limb from the body to show in silhouette.
Absolutely. I'm going to try and get this back a little bit so we can see the shadow. See where we are. Okay. Here's that pose.
Below Average Joe said, yes, very helpful. Thank you much.
Okay, I'm gonna lasso this shadow. I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna put it on this frame. And I'm just gonna get rid of this part, which matched the other pose, and I'm gonna make a new shadow for this pose. Just to keep things consistent as I work. Otherwise it might become a nightmare if I try to go back in and figure all that shadow stuff out. I like to do it as I
There
go.
you go.
Just so I can see how it works. Okay, so now the next thumbnail pose is where he throws it, which is in the bottom left there. You can see the second one over. He throws the thing, puts his whole body into it. He's got the whole line of action going on there. So that's my next one. So let's see if I can move this. Oh, here we go. Oh shoot, I can't. Here we go. This is the control. I want to do this.
Oh,
there we go. That shows me where I'm going with the timeline here. I can scale it down. I need that feature. I'm going to save it really quick before I go further, in case it crashes.
All right.
Save as, and you can type whatever you want.
Go ahead.
Thumbnail demo.
Oh, okay.
Thumbnail demo. cool. All right, now, any other questions that are coming through?
Let's see. Nope.
Okay. One more time, I'm just going to scroll through the whole thing so we can see it. He jumps out, lands, hits the pose, then the shadow comes in, and he's like, oh no. He panics and gets ready to throw this thing. So there is the end of that drawing. I'm going to add another drawing here. So I'm going to shorten this shadow to there. And I'm going to add another character drawing on that layer and add another layer for the shadow as well. Okay. So there's that pose. Now I can go ahead and do this next one. Okay. All right, let's see. Again, as far as feet being planted, when he goes from back here, he's going to have to take this foot and step over there, which means this foot is still going to be planted in that area on the ground. So I'm just going to put a little indication of that here. Something like this. Maybe a little more. Let's see. I'm just going to do the leg. Okay, it comes from there. I know the heel's pretty much in the same spot. He's going to throw this puppy. There's a big line of action where he throws it all the way from his foot all the way out to his arm. And when I say arm, I mean this arm right here is going over there. So that's where that line of action is. Boom, that's where the arm's going. All the way from the heel out. So I'm roughing that in. And then this foot's going to take a step over here because that other one's planted. So I have to think this stuff out because of the perspective and everything, and it's going to land right about there on that grid.
Which is another good point. So he's got it figured out thumbnail wise, but now he's got to make it work with the layout. But he is still following his thumbnails.
Yeah. And
that's where, when I say you can get lost in a dark room if you don't do your thumbnails.
Okay, that's that. And the pistol's out here somewhere. And the other arm is like this. I'll turn that off so you can see this better. There we go. Boom. So you can see he gets his whole body into it. That's what I've got in the thumbnail. Now, I don't have him as low to the ground in the thumbnail. I have him up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this whole body and raise it up a little bit. And I'm going to pivot it a little more like that. That's closer to the thumbnail. I'll just readjust this leg to fit where that foot's planted. There we go. And when I flip it, I can see okay, I want to move him over a little bit more. Right about there. Let's check that. That's better. I'm going to pivot on that heel. Now this is his front here. If I was to put a shirt on him or something, that would be what it would look like with the crosshairs. Just so you can see that his whole body is turned around here. This feels a little bit awkward to me right here. So I'm going to change that a little bit lower. Get rid of this drawing through line. Boom. Throws it. I'm going to lower this a little bit here. glad that you guys are asking questions that are outside of what we're doing as well. You know, like that perspective stuff with the arcs and all that. Yeah, we're totally receptive to anything that you that's been on you guys' minds. You know.
Yeah.
It's not just this. This is just the demo. You know, if you, while you're here, while you have us to answer the question, you know, feel free to ask any kind of question that's been plaguing you or whatever, or something you've always wondered about. Pivot this a little bit more.
You want me to get you some water?
I got it right here.
Oh.
I brought one.
You can have a water break right now.
All right. Might get a little scratchy. And then we take the arm and move it over here.
He's chugging that all going down.
Yeah. I needed that. All right. Let's see what we got here. I had to shift it a little bit. That's pretty good. I'm going to lower it just a little bit more to make it. I put this onion skin on because I want to see exactly where that foot is. See where that heel is, and boom, I want to match it up there. Now it's much better. Okay, there's a nice pose. Boom. He's throwing that puppy. I can make that. I can push it further, but I'll just leave it. Good enough for now.
You've been on for hour and 40 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick. Whew. All right, I'm gonna speed this up here. Okay, there's the next shadow. So I'm gonna take that shadow. I'm gonna copy it again and paste it over here and adjust the character part of the shadow. Make it work. The poses. Let's see how it looks. He's in awe, anticipates, boom, throws. Now, this is all one big move. He's going to throw this thing and he's going to run right off screen. So.
Question?
Yeah.
Okay. From Bremation Station, when you animate characters, do you use reference or act it out? What do you do, Rico? What do you do, Rico?
Another good question.
We'll just look at the cameras.
Okay. So when I use reference, I use it because I either can't imagine something or I need some sort of accuracy towards real life. And if I want to make sure, if there's something I'm not that familiar with, like a certain dance move or something, I need to look at some reference to figure out just how that's done so that I can duplicate that. And I'll make thumbnails based on the reference, and then I'll do what I'm doing now based on the thumbnails. So that makes it real easy to assimilate.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. That's what I do too. You know, you get stuck with certain, especially like, you know, animals or something. You know, if you're anything that you're not familiar with, you know, you got to go to reference. And I saw David Coleman give a lecture on his process. He always goes, the great David Coleman. He does character designs, mostly animals, just incredible work. Anyway, if you watch his video, he always goes to the real thing first and studies and draws the real thing. And then after that, that's when he starts to realize the anatomy or the shapes and forms of the particular type of animal that he's drawing. That's when he'll push it more and more as he proceeds. And I found that video really, really good. So that's the only thing I have to add on to that. And what'd you draw just now?
Now this is a path of action of how I want him to go from here to throw and come right out of it and run right through and out of this scene like that.
Very cool.
So that's what this represents. Now, instead of leaving this on this one drawing, I'm going to put this on its own separate layer. So I'm going to copy all this. And I'm going to create a new layer on top of that. Duplicate layer, tiny blank drawings, yes. And I'm going to paste it. Paste it right there. Oops, didn't work. That's weird, I wonder why. Come on. Well, luckily I didn't delete it, so I'll just get it back. Go back to the animation drawing, which is there. I'm gonna lasso that thing. Copy. Get rid of that. Go to this layer. Paste it. I don't know why.
Because you got the opacity way off.
Oh, right. It's the same opacity, right? It actually worked, but I didn't realize it. There it is. Okay, it's there. When it duplicates the opacity too, which I didn't expect. Okay, now I can get rid of this one on the animation layer. Oops, I want to make sure on the animation. There we go. Grab that, correct layer, delete. And now I'm going to bring it back on this layer. Okay. And I'm going to gray it out a little bit just so I can use it as an underlay, little reference there. Okay, now I'm ready to go back in and add that where he runs off. Now, the main concern of him running off is the speed and the position. I've already got the position figured out right here through that. So now it's just a matter of the speed. So I'm going to, the next drawing, I'm going to do this straight ahead. That seems to be the smartest way for me because it's a fast action and it's, you know, it just, it's like a dance move you would do straight ahead to get the proper, you know, rhythm.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, make sure I get, I'm not going to draw on that one, I'm going to draw here. So that's my next drawing. Delete that. Okay, right there. I'm going to turn the shadow off too, just so I'm not distracted. There's that.
But only the shadow knows.
Alright, there's probably where that's going to be. Keep adding a drawing. There. There.
Now, what are you doing now?
Now I'm just going straight ahead with the onion skin on, and you can see.
But
I'm animating him exiting the frame straight ahead.
Straight ahead, but
yeah.
What element are you drawing?
Oh, the character.
Well, the head.
Yeah, just the head.
That's what I was.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, I'm just drawing.
And you're going to
head.
use that as a guide when you.
Yeah, that's the position. Wherever that head is leading the way, I'm just going to animate that first, and then I'm going to put the rest and hook it, just add it on to it.
Okay, I wanted that to be clear for everybody.
Oops, now my background's disappeared, so I've got to elongate that. Give myself room. I want the thumbnails to be visible as well, so I'll go out to here. And I forgot what that is. Oh, that's the, I'm going to need you to type in path.
Path?
Yeah. Thanks. And there's the animation. Okay, cool. So there's another drawing there. I want the path to be showing as well. So I'm going to elongate that. There we go. Now I can see where I'm going. All right. Turn on the onion skin again so I can see the spacing.
Other
layer.
level.
There we go. You have to be on the layer else it won't show up. There we go. Okay. So I'm slowing out of this and it's gaining speed. The spacing is becoming more and more further apart. As I keep adding drawings. Oops, one right here. It's going to be gone at that point. So I'll just leave that blank. All right, turn off the onion skin. Check this out. He sees it, anticipates throws, and goes right into the run. You can see what he's going to do, how he's going to do it. So I just do that straight ahead. So I'm just going to add the bodies as I go here.
Sorry.
That's all right. So I'm going to draw this foot here. Because that's locked in, right? And I'm going to let that body come down like this. Really bend that knee. Really squash it down. Let that arm continue back. All straight ahead. I want this arm to follow through like it finished throwing. So it's coming around here after that letting go of that gun in that direction. So it's a little follow through there. Squashing down that belly. And because he's going to start running, I got to get that other foot up and ready to take a step.
Same mom.
So get that knee nice and high. Exercise. Drag that foot from down from whence it came. I can put a little curve in here, get a little rhythm going there. Nice rhythm like that.
Anma said, interesting approach. I never thought of that before. Very cool. Everyone's got their own. That's why you want to check everyone out.
Yes.
There's always something more to learn.
Yeah, you don't want to just lock into one animator and just follow what you want to check out as many different animators as you can, because everybody's got a different way to approach stuff that you might not have thought of. So I'm going to bring this knee forward a little bit so it overlaps that foot. Now, trying to think of all four of these limbs at once is going to be a little bit much, maybe. So I'm just going to focus on maybe the legs first, or whatever hits me, or maybe the arms. So okay, maybe this arm is like leading the way here. It swings down in the foreground like that. So that foot's coming up and it's going to go out like this. Reach out. And I never, ever would have been able to figure that pose out if I just was posing it. I had to go straight ahead to get into that pose.
I know. Sometimes it is the only way to do it.
I never would have been able to visualize that unless I did this sequential drawing thing, one after the other. I would never have thought of putting that foot out and that arm out like that.
It's all helpful information.
Weird. Cool. Now this arm starts here and goes up to here, and I want it to go up there. So I'm going to swing it up and around like that. So that movement follows through like this. And it's a nice opposing movement to the body and where it's going. Again, I would have never
counteraction.
Yeah, I never would have thought of that pose, but it's kind of dynamic. There's a lot of twisting going on and stuff. So he's like, I gotta run. Now I'm just gonna put the body in there and get the body position, and I'll add the legs afterwards.
Change of shape there, everybody.
Yeah, a little bit of change of shape. Really leaning forward. I'm going to tone down this background a little bit so I can see more of the animation. There we go. Because it's getting convoluted with that box in the way. I want to shave a little bit of this off. Make it more behind him like this. There we go. It's better. stretch that body out. All right. So that's the primary movement right there. Throw that gun. Get out of there, quick. So it's a lot easier for me to animate this exit in such a simplified manner where I can watch the arcs, you know, how the body moves up and down and all that, right? Curves around and changes direction, he takes off and really leans into it. So I've got that whole primary movement finished. Now all I have to do is figure out the legs after that, and then I can do the arms last.
Right.
So it's in layers.
It's exactly.
And let's just take a quick look at the thumbnails to see what that looked like. I'm going to turn down the animation so we can just take a look at that as he exits. Second here. As he exits. Oh, got the opacity on. Oh, am I on animation? Okay. I want to be on this one. So he throws that thing, the gun, and pivots right around it and runs right out here. That's what these thumbnails are. Now, I just threw those poses in there for the thumbnails just to give myself an idea of what I was thinking of how he's going to run out. He's going to have one arm leading the way here, one arm's back, one leg's bent, the other one's straight. Things like that. Just little things that I could think of at the time that I could throw in for myself to use as reference.
Yeah, I'm following you exactly.
Yeah. So I just want to make that really clear. Okay, I'm going to bring the animation opacity up and bring the thumbnails down. Now that you guys have seen that. Oops. Thumbnails off. BG, ghost. Okay. Back to the animation. Right there. Double check my brush. Yep, looking good. All right, here we go. Throws it. Now I've got to have this foot plant right about there. Boom. And that's a big reach. The bottom of the leg attaches at the bottom of the torso, and the upper leg, or the upper part of the leg, goes there. This one's still on the ground. Boom, locked on. Needs that to push off.
So as of right now, you're sort of feeling it, correct?
Absolutely, it's all feel.
Okay.
I'm going to try and get a nice rhythm here. It goes like that. So I'm going to peel off of the bottom of that torso and try to dig into that leg there. Something like that. I'm going to have this leg change direction. Instead of the knee pointing out this way, I'm going to have the knee pointing this direction now. It's turning around, so the leg is pivoting like that. And maybe the foot's something like this. The angle of this foot is trying to make it feel like it's coming from where it started, which is right there. That's why I'm putting the foot like that.
Cremation Station says, I can feel the motion.
Cool. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So this is all straight ahead. Boom. I'm going to try to start with that planted.
Almost says, it's alive.
It's alive, it's alive. A little bit of a silhouette value here. So I want to make that foot read, get it a little bit out and away like this. So let's drag the foot, get that knee raising up like this. That's in the foreground, so I'm going to erase a little bit of that. And it feels to me like he's getting a little bit too thick there. There we go. I'm going to thin that out.
Almost says, I like how you were able to keep the shapes readability. Keep the shapes readability.
Thank you. I think that comes with just time, you know?
Yeah.
The more you do it, the more you get hip to how you... Now here's something interesting. He's way up in the air here, so I'm going to have this foot right here has to feel like it's coming from there and going off into the... being dragged into that direction. So I'm going to visualize this. The heel comes up, peels off, and is being pulled in the direction. Sometimes I'll draw little lines like this to give myself a path of action of how, what if I was to draw a bunch of in-betweens in there, where it would look. So this gives me an
That's
idea.
a good trick.
Yeah, it gives me an idea where I would put that foot.
Yeah.
So there's where I would put it. And now all I gotta do is just erase these.
That's smart.
You like that? I made that up myself.
Yeah, I've never seen that done before. Boom. Yeah, how can you miss on that?
It's just a progression. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like it's like you're seeing tracers. And there, now I know where to put it. And now I really want to lead with this foot. Like this, really stretching. And this might be something like this. I'm just feeling it out here. Scribble, scribble, scribble. There we go. Scribble until it feels right in the right place. That's what Preston Blair said.
Did he?
Yeah, just scribble it until it feels like multiple scribbles. Remember the
alligator?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. He does multiple scribbles trying to feel where the right spot is.
Right.
So that's what all I did with this leg right here.
That's right.
Just scribble the heck out of it until it feels like it's in the right spot. Now I'm going to have him plant a foot. Boom. On the ground. And really, he's going to have to bend that leg for the compression. This one is going to be already... I'm going to color these in so you know which one's in the front and which one's in the back. I always tell students to do that to help keep track of...
Definitely, because it gets confusing.
Yeah, it can get real confusing what's in the front, what's in the back. So that helps you keep track of what's in the front. There we go. And again, you know, this foot's going to peel off here. So I'm going to go like that and go that heel's peeling up and getting pulled that way.
That's a good one. I've never seen that before.
And there it is. Boom. And it feels natural, of course, because I, you know, did the sequential spacing of it. I'm trying to do it as if it were a bunch of in-betweens. That's what I'm trying to do, trying to simulate that. And there it goes. And then this foot's long gone. And then he's, oh, and then since this one is going from here to here, I have to visualize where it is over here. Right about there. Again, straight ahead. Erase this. I can erase that. Now, let's check it out. He sees this ominous shadow, goes, ah, throws his gun and runs off screen. So the primary, oops, I better add another drawing to that for a blank. There we go. So he goes from poses to straight ahead off the screen like that to run. As long as I had that primary movement figured out first, then it's easy to add the legs to that, as you can see, right?
Yes.
Now the arms. Let's visualize that, shall we?
Okay.
So let's see here. I'm just going to do something wrong or awkward just to show, you know, what might not work.
Go ahead.
Because it's always good to try.
You're on 2 hours.
Jeez, sorry about that. Oh, I got it. Okay, running out of time here.
He's having a good time.
Yeah, I love animating. I never get sick of this. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that arm up.
But no, I'm saying do whatever you want.
Well, yeah, I was gonna just put this arm in the wrong
To try to
place.
show him that...
Yeah, just to see what it
if
would look
it's-
like if it was wrong.
Okay.
Or awkward, I should say, not wrong. It's not necessarily. I might put this arm out here, like that, to really reach forward, you know, like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's possible. You could do that if you want, but it just doesn't feel natural that it's going that far ahead of him and leading
I
the
get
way.
you. Yeah, I
So,
agree.
I'm going to cut that back just a little bit. And because it's curved here, I'm feeling it's going to probably still be curved like that. See how it scoops under like that? So I would do something like this. It's still reaching around. And the cool thing about this is that we have opposites. This front arm is leading the way and the back leg is leading the way. So it's opposite, just like you would do in a walk or a run. You have your limbs opposite of each other. So while this one's going forward, I'm going to try and... It's hard to talk when you're thinking at the same time. So his right...
Yeah, whoever said teaching's easy?
It's not. I'm going to take that back. The character's right arm is going forward and the left leg is going forward. So they're opposing each other. Like you would do in a walk where the limbs oppose each other. And the left arm, the character's left arm, is going backwards. And I've got to make that feel like it's spinning around. Oh, this is going to be tough. Something like this. Just going to scribble it in. There we go. Something like that. And that just gives a feeling like, oh my God, just flailing the arms around because it's trying to get out of this, get away from this thing as fast as possible. So it's like I'm not going to get too much control in the arms. And now I can reach out with this foreground arm. Like that. So I want this rear arm to swing underneath like that, coming from the rear shoulder and reaching out.
Cremation station says, it's been 2 hours, time flies.
It does, yeah.
I tell you, nothing, I've never done an occupation where time flies by more than animation. But I've had plenty.
Yeah, same here. This really,
Because you're so focused, it's just...
yeah, you're out of time and into the moment of
Right.
of the art. There we go. That's it.
Almost is the flow state. Yes.
And there it is.
There it is.
There's the natural arm move. See that rear arm swings back and around and comes underneath him, and then comes up into the running away pose.
The character's left arm.
Yeah, the left arm swings all the way around and underneath the head and comes back up. Now, I wouldn't have thought of that unless I did it straight ahead. I could never have thought of that when I was posing it out. It's just something that happens as you...
Unfold.
Yeah, it just... dictates itself. Like the character does it comes alive by itself at this
Right.
point. You're just putting in the drawings that.
But you did not deviate from your thumbnails.
No, it's what the thumbnails are doing.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's
pretty much.
close enough.
Yeah. The only one that's
You know
different
what,
is
you
that
guys? Yeah, that should be stated. It does not mean when you do the thumbnails that it's got to look exactly like your thumbnails. Hopefully, you're improving upon it. The thumbnails are just a guide for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to do this shadow. Boom.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Shadow comes. Oops, that's
Hurry
too
there.
dark. I'm trying. Believe me, I'm trying.
He's putting in all the effects.
All right, I'm going to have to copy this.
What does the shadow do?
The shadow is, it just stays there. It's just a matter of
Oh.
having him in shadow. And the cool thing about this is that when he does run away, you're going to see him run out from under the shadow, so he gets revealed, quote unquote, right?
Rico loves those calf shadows.
I love cast shadows. As you'll see here, as I add them to every
I love
frame.
them too. So does the other Rico.
I just can't get enough of shadows, cast or otherwise. Do this as fast as I can. I think that's good enough. All right, because he's gone after
Oh,
this
so
one.
next is audio and then cleanup.
Yeah, and music and sound effects. Music and sound effects. Okay, get rid of that. Forward here, pardon me. Get rid of this. Get rid of that.
I'm good with that.
It adds so much more
Technical stuff.
dimension. Yeah, oh God.
That was from All the Flash.
Yeah, flash and harmony.
Yeah.
You learn these little tricks of how to get stuff done really quick. I mean, down and dirty stuff just to get it going. You know?
Right, I get it.
And then I'm going to take this last drawing and I'm just going to extend that to the end. Oops, one back. There we go. What the heck? Bring it out to there. Okay, cool. So there's the shadow. And I want this to last. 1, 2. Now I'm going to synchronize. Just add a little time at the end. And I'm going to go back in and fix these shadows. Alright, I'm going to go to the shadow layer. Increase my brush size and draw on the shadow layer. Each pose here. So he's still in the shadow here. Still in the shadow there. Still shadow. Make that bigger. There we go. Still. Now here he's going to start coming out of it. About there. Yep, and he's out of it totally there. So it comes right out of it right there. Okay, cool. I think that's it. So let's check it out from the beginning. There's the box. We hold on that. He jumps out. These are all the thumbnail poses. Boom, lands. Says freeze, and then the shadow comes in. He's like, oh no. Up slow. You know, that would give you a lot of drawings there.
Right.
You can have fun with that and the way it happens. And then he anticipates, throws the gun, and runs away right out of the shadow. Done.
Beautiful, dude. Beautiful.
Thanks. Ta-da.
Now
The
he
end.
hasn't timed this out or anything,
Nope.
but he can time all this out. Let's see what's. Some users getting kind of late here, so I better go to bed. But I'll be sure to watch the rest of this tomorrow. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us on Muser. Below Average Joe, I remember great form and cast shadows in old Jetson movie. On Wild, very amazing. Perfect Run Cycle, Bremation Station.
Thank you.
Go ahead and say your last words of everything that you just did.
All I can say is, it's fun to flesh out the movement after you get these things blocked out based on your thumbnails. Especially, I wish I had more time. I would show you how elaborate I would go at approaching how the character goes from here to here, because it's a slow thing. Like, oh no, it's a gradual realization. So there's so many different ways to do that. It's just.
Well, should we make this like this part one and then the other ones you just finishing?
Oh, like going through the whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, to show how to flesh out the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
We'll do that the next live stream.
All right, there we
It'll
go.
be you fleshing it out.
Yep.
What is that?
That's my alarm going off.
Oh. All right. So,
I'll kill that.
all right, you guys. Thank you very much. We're going to make this is part one. And this is Mike's way of, this is very cool, actually.
Interpreting thumbnails.
And he did his thumbnail, showed you that, then he interpreted them and did his animation. And then the next part will be part two, where he's going to fully time it out, flesh it out.
Yeah, flesh it out.
And not tie it down.
No, I'm just going to
Keep
flesh
it
it out
rough.
and then
Yeah.
time it.
Very good.
So it'll be all nice and pretty.
Perfecto, dude.
Cool.
So, let's see.
Thanks for joining us.
We're going to say goodbye. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for joining us. Hope that came through. Let's see, everyone. Everyone's kind of tired. And that's it, Rico.
Have a good night's rest.